off with Sara. Sara McLeod.
Victoria Price was a mother, a wife, a sister, and a friend. She was many things to many people. To me, she was a grandma. She was my grandma from the day I was born, and it didn't even occur to me until I was a lot older that she was ever anything else. So I can only speak to my memories of her as her granddaughter, and I have many. As a kid, I remember holidays at Grandma's house. Christmas and Thanksgiving were the best, with homemade pierogies and all the fixings. The Christmas lights strung around the basement that stayed up all year. We loved that, of course. My cousins and I would spin each other in the barrel chairs until someone fell off or got sick, whichever came first. There was always shuffleboard and foosball, her player piano, and the jukebox, our favorite. That was functional about half my life. It took a little begging to get it fixed when it was broken for a period of time, but we got it fixed. We would bunny hop in a conga line with Grandma at the front to the jukebox. A lot. We had a lot of fun. And looking back, I feel like she was the happiest when everybody else was happy. But it didn't have to be a holiday to spend time at Grandma's house. Many memories were of quiet days walking to the park, the Briarwood movie theater, which I wouldn't recommend these days, but I don't think it's theirs, so don't cry. To Wendy's, to the grocery store, and then coming home and having a cold cup of milk in a smiley face mug. Thanks, Abby, for that memory. We can all remember that. And some graham crackers. And watching Grandma's stories. She loved her soap operas. We did a lot of walking because, as you know, she's a native New Yorker and she never learned to drive. Well, she tried, but those are stories that you guys can tell. Lucky for us, that meant visiting the big city on a regular basis. I thought I was the coolest kid in the world to get to visit New York City with my grandma. Then I realized I actually had to keep up with her walking. That was not easy. I think it was on my first trip to New York when I was 15 that I really got a glimpse of who my grandmother was, besides just my grandmother. She was always so generous. She loved her family and would help out any way she could. She never missed a basketball game, a dance recital, a play, a birthday. As we grew older and moved out on our own, she was always there to help us. When I bought my first house, she and Mom came over and cleaned. That was one of her specialties. And I remember her being down on her knees and just, I think she took a house key and was scraping the paint off the floor, you know. And I was talking about this with Ryan before, and he said, I had the exact same story I was going to share. I told us too, I bet we all do, yeah. She was very meticulous, but really, whatever she could do to help out, she would do, always. And she never complained. She never wanted to burden anyone. She was happy sitting quietly and taking it all in, never the center of attention, and that's how she liked it. If she had a great-grandchild on one knee and was surrounded by the rest of them, she'd be happy. If she were here today, she'd tell us to stop making such a fuss about it. You know she would. She was always humble and modest, but don't get me wrong, she had a brilliant sense of humor and kept us all laughing. And usually she didn't mean to. So it would be hilarious. And she could laugh at herself, of course, which is also a gift. I doubt she realized she left such an impression on those who loved her, but she did, on all of us. My dad told me the day she died that she was the nicest person he ever knew. And couldn't even think of anyone that came in a close second. And he paid me the highest compliment by saying that he sees a lot of her characteristics in me. I hope I can be half the person my grandmother was. I loved her very much. And thank you all for loving her too.
That was very nice, Sarah. That's wonderful. The next person that's going to share some thoughts with us is Carol Stewart. Please come up.